Hey there, this is Robert, the recovery guy, and as always, I am a happy, grateful, recovered alcoholic. As always, I'm in the studio today with my sidekick Jeff, who is behind the camera and always a great friend and encouragement to me as we produce these segments, and we hope these segments help. As we speak today, you see the Christmas tree behind me. I love Christmas, I love the decorations, and I'm taking the tree down today. But before I did, I wanted to have one opportunity to share some time with you. It is December 31st, 2016, and the last day of this year, and it has been a good year. This particular segment, unlike many others that we do, where we just give you about 3.5, 4 minutes to introduce you to what the segment is about, and then as you become a member of our podcast and our download family, then the rest is available to you. This particular segment, though, because I think it's so important, we're going to offer it at no charge to you on YouTube and then our Facebook page, and then even a link through our website. Last week I went to California to spend a little time with my mom, and I had the awesome opportunity to spend some time at a place called Welcome Home Sober Living. And this particular segment is in honor of and in gratitude for the residents of Welcome Home Sober Living and the staff and the team that make that whole thing possible. And so about a month ago I had sent out a little message saying that I wanted to use a segment just as a question and answer. And so having met in the houses last week with the residents at Welcome Home, I pulled out some of the questions that we had discussed in my time with them, and in honor of them, I want to present those questions and put my answer to them. I know many of you out there who are viewing or will view this segment, you might have an expanded view of this, and heck, some of you might even disagree, and that's okay. At the end of the day, what's most important is one day at a time, we stay clean and sober, and we come together with the unity of our common cause, which is to help others recover. So having said that, I'm going to get right into the first question, spend a couple minutes on my response or thoughts towards it, and then move on to the next one. So the first question I pulled out was, why are the holidays more difficult days than others to stay sober through? You know, it seems that way because they only come throughout the course of the year, and oftentimes we put more emphasis on them because we associate them with a particular event or party or almost an excuse to drink or use. But in actuality, whether it's New Year's Eve, which is today, or Christmas Eve, which was last Saturday, or Labor Day, or Memorial Day, they're just days. And that's what we have to remember. We can't, especially in our early sobriety, put any emphasis on one day greater than another day. Because at the end of the day, that's all we're given is a day. And the big book says what we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual conditioning. So if I make sure that my spiritual conditioning is as sound on December 31st as it was December 30th, then it seems to me that getting through today will be just as simple as getting through yesterday was. And I know if I apply the same things tomorrow that I applied today, then tomorrow will be as simple getting through that clean and sober as it was today. Let's not try to put unnecessary emphasis on things outside, but rather focus on the things that are inside. So does it appear that days are more difficult as we cycle through maybe our first year of holidays being clean and sober? It is, but it only appears that way. They're really not. Having said that, we might want to make sure that we incorporate extra fellowship, an extra meeting. Make sure we spend some extra time with our sponsor. Maybe we spend some extra time reading or listening to inspirational material, certainly 12-step material. Maybe we make sure we are in service to someone else or some group, or making coffee or reaching out our hand to someone that we know is suffering. But it's only a more difficult day whether we want it to be or not. Matter of fact, my dear friend Slow Will, actually his sobriety date is today. He got clean and sober on December 31st. And if he can get sober on that day, then we of course can stay sober on that day. And I hope that addresses the question. The next question that I pulled from my time with the residents at Welcome Home was, why are the steps so necessary? Isn't going to meetings and not using enough? So why are the steps necessary? Can't I just do a few things and be okay? You know, if you can, you can. Most of us have found, though, that real sobriety is more than just not drinking or using. Real sobriety is found in the life-changing opportunities that are found in each step. And in each step, there is a principle that we need to then incorporate into our life. I do believe that if we simply don't drink and go to meetings, that's going to work for a while. But again, if there's another way you can do this, turn around and drink like a gentleman, or go somewhere else and not drink at all without doing this, hey, my hat is off to you. Congratulations. It hasn't been my experience. If you want to ensure permanent, lifelong sobriety, then it's best to follow the plan of recovery. And the plan of recovery incorporates the steps, reading the big book, working with our sponsor, going to meetings, certainly when we get to steps 12, carrying the message to other alcoholics, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So it might seem like it's easier, but remember, the big book says we thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Also, if you're ever looking forward to helping someone else in their road to recovery, learning the steps and walking through them and practicing the principles is going to help you help them. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, helping others as we have been helped. The next question reads very simply, sometimes I feel like my sponsor isn't going fast enough with me regarding the steps. You know, I heard that, I think 3 times that was mentioned in my time with the gals at Welcome Home. And we come in and we want to get this thing as quickly as possible because we want to get on to life. And especially with the residents of Welcome Home Sober Living, there's requirements that they need to do through the courts and through other governing entities that are mandating their stay in this program in their life. They want to move through things rather quickly to appease the court, the judicial system, family, friends, what have you, quicker than where their sponsor might want them to be. The challenge with this is we need to be fearless and thorough from the very start. One of the problems with going through things rather quickly, it diminishes the quality or the thoroughness of our working through the steps. Certainly the most critical step is step 1, but every other step builds upon the thoroughness and the depth and the quality of the previous step to help ensure that we can move through the steps, understanding what they mean, incorporating the principles of the steps into our life, that we can then be of greater success in our own sobriety, and then again the value that we can bring to other people. So my advice to you is trust your sponsor. If you know that that sponsor has some real quality sobriety and clean time in their life, trust the process, trust them. That's one of the things though, trust. We don't trust very good. We don't even trust ourselves. You know, the Bible says that the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. Who can know it? We have learned not to trust others. We have certainly learned not to trust ourselves. But when we come into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and any other 12-step group that you may be a part of now or moving forward in your recovery, we need to trust others who have gone before us. And I'll tell you, it was a difficult thing for me. It took me about 9 months of misery and pain of not drinking and using before I was ready to say, you know what, enough is enough. My sponsor has been sober 12 years. It's obvious that he knows what he's doing. I need to just trust the process, trust him, and know that he, as a servant of recovery, is going to do everything in my best interest. So trust your sponsor, trust the process, and above all, just take it one day at a time. I've never seen a person get a medal for going through the steps too quickly. We get chips, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, a year, and then anniversaries moving forward. But never once did anyone get a certificate for getting through the steps quicker. The next question is, what are the main components to help ensure long-term sobriety? What are the main components to help ensure long-term sobriety? You know, it says that we clean house, we trust God, and we work with others. Now, that's real simplified. Clean house. We clean house by going through the steps. Obviously, in step 1, we're admitting we see the unmanageability of our life. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We begin trusting, we begin moving, we do the fearless and moral inventory. Step 5, we get all those things out. Step 6, step 7, you're familiar with what I'm talking about. Those are the things that we have to do. We have to make sure that that is a critical component. We have to know the steps. We have to make sure that that we have a sound footing. That's a main component. I am a firm believer that the biggest component to my sobriety is the fact that God could and would if he were sought. I am convinced to this day, and the longer that I'm sober, by the way, today is 11,201 days in a row. This is my 30th consecutive sober New Year's Eve. And I owe everything to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and the people who have gone before me to help show me the path that they took to get where they are. And the same is true for all of us. The beautiful thing about the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is there's not a different plan for the different people who come in. It was once described to me as an adjustable wrench that will fit any nut who walks in. And it will. It'll fit anyone who comes in, and it's the beauty and the magic of the program. But if you want to make sure that you have all the components necessary, find out what other people are doing. Talk to your sponsor. Talk to other people you've heard share in the meetings. People that you admire. People who have what you want. And find out what they're doing and use that as their components. Follow the steps. Follow the traditions. Most importantly, trust God. 8 steps in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, the plan of recovery. 8 of those steps are dedicated to me developing a power that is greater than myself, developing a relationship with God as we understood God. And within that relationship with God, the drink problem just seems to go away in and of itself. And then there's one final question, and that is regarding relapse. Relapse is a hard thing because it kills our hope. I relapsed once early on in my sobriety. I originally came into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous in February of 1986, and I had about 2.5 months of sobriety, and then I thought I could find an easier, softer way. Stopped going to meetings, played lip service to the steps, did all the superficial things. I just wanted you to like me. I didn't really want to change. I wasn't even sure if I was willing to admit that I was as Dr. Paul would say, an alcoholic of sorts. But when I came back to the program, one of the things that my sponsor talked to me about is what step I thought I was on, and then we found out the mistakes I had made with that step. We then reversed order of the steps and began backtracking, and then once we found where I began to go another way, we started from that step and began building forward again. And that's just a concept, a way of approaching it. Other people might have different ways with respect to relapse prevention, but the answer is always in taking the steps. Obviously, to me, if you did relapse, somewhere along the line, you didn't think you were powerless over alcohol or drug, that your life really hadn't become unmanageable because you thought you could safely take a drink, or fooled yourself into thinking that you could, and you thought you could manage your own life once again. So my recommendation to you is, let's go back and visit step one. Let's find out the totality of our condition and move forward from there. Always making sure that before we take the next step, we've created the sure foundation of the previous step. And that covers the questions that I thought were most pertinent with the time that we have allotted for this particular segment. And again, this particular segment is dedicated to the women and to those involved in the Welcome Home Sober Living. I appreciate all that you do, and I look forward to the next opportunity when we can spend some time together. Happy New Year, and may God bless you and keep you until we meet again. Thank you.